Greetings, Rommies, and welcome to Rom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing, and to the first of many races of the Russell Cup in Croft. Watching a race and commentating a race is much more fun if you do it with someone you love, and with me is Ike. How are you, mate?
I am doing absolutely fine, sir. It's been, a couple of days since we were last talking together in a live situation. This time, I mean, it's going to be an interesting show tonight, don't you think?
Oh yeah, if you watch the images that are on the broadcast, you can see how nimble these cars are, you can see how they bounce around, you can see in some of the corners, I think one of the corners is coming right now, how they lose touch with one of the tires. So for some of the curves, they're gonna be only with 3 tires because one of them is gonna be on the air.
Yep, they call it tripoding in the Clio Cup circles, in the UK anyway, and it's one of the main ways that the Clios actually gain speed. We were talking just before the broadcast began. The issue with the Clios is obviously that they have next to no horsepower and they're just over a metric ton. So a lot of weight to be swinging around and not a lot of tractive effort to be able to hold the speed through the corners. So what they do is they essentially detach the rear anti-roll bar, soften the springs, and allow the car weight to, like you do in karting, use the weight of the car to give them that extra grip.
Funny.
Also, yeah, the broadcast doesn't seem to be in the right aspect ratio.
Kinda. So it looks peculiar because rFactor 2 is showing it on my widescreen monitor, and not even on a widescreen ratio, and then it gets translated by my system. My system that goes into the streaming computer, like something around 16 to 9-ish, so It's a little bit flattened, but I didn't want to fiddle more with the graphics than I do already because I don't trust this whole construct. Unluckily, my capture card is somehow not made for these kind of widescreen thingies, and there's gonna be some almost for this widescreen, and I tried even to update the firmware, but it didn't do that very well.
Well, there's the explanation. You can dynamically scale within the broadcasting software, but not for. That was very close on the start-finish straight.
Yep.
But yes, going to be a very interesting race tonight. First race of the season, starting at Croft. What do we know about Croft?
You're the Brit. You tell me, mate.
So, Croft Circuit, one of the most northern circuits in England, by nowhere near the most northern circuit in the UK, I believe. As far as the BTCC calendar goes, that is Knock Hill, but it is in North Yorkshire. It is another one of the renowned airfield circuits that are across the UK, including Silverstone, and Castle Combe is one of them as well. Converted to a racetrack in the... now I'm digging into my histories. In the 1960s, I think, is the most recent iteration of the circuit, but it's a fantastic circuit that actually almost connects at the hairpin at the end of the circuit, making 2 very, very distinct individual circuits. Very high speed, very heavy on the brakes. The drivers are going to be struggling left, right, and centre to be able to get the best out of these cars. And Sector 1 absolutely going to be chief among that, with a terrifying couple of chicanes that require the utmost discipline to navigate.
Well, the whole of the Clio Cup requires discipline to navigate, and as the Clio is a car that is very suited for beginners, there may be some shenanigans going on, as we have beginners. We have a mix of beginners and people who have been in the ASRC since forever. We have at least registered there were 30 drivers, so it's gonna be a full grid.
At the moment, we've got 27 drivers, 25 of which are actually on track. So space very much at a premium as we see a group of 5 cars coming down towards the final hairpin. My goodness, I dread to think what they... Oh, it's getting worse as well. I have a camera on Mr. Biraud in the 60 car, and there's a traffic jam for sure. Just getting out onto the first of the hot laps. Where are we here? On board. There we go. Perfect. So in through the first complex at Claro Hawthorne Bend. Through the chicane, inventively called chicane. And again, car on the outside. Already showing just how complex this track is. Back out onto one of the longer straights up towards Tower Bend. Brake at around 75 meters. Keep the apex as late as you possibly can. Use that rear end lack of traction to keep your momentum up. That's the word that I was looking for the whole time beforehand, momentum. And then through to Barcroft and the double apex sunny corners. Go. Just running a little bit ahead of where the car is at the moment.
Boinky, boinky, boinky. You see them
boinky,
bounce
boinky.
a lot.
They are bouncing a lot. And then here we come down to the final complex. This is the part that if you've driven Croft, you will remember from the TOCA 2 touring car days. The left-right tight left-hander to finish out the track, and also where the track connects. If you look straight down, you'll be able to see cars going past the other direction. Oh, as just happened on the broadcast. Lovely. And that is a lap around Croft. It is a very, very challenging circuit, by far and away one of the best previous airfield circuits. There's a load of character throughout this circuit, and again, something that the Clios are so good at doing that they run around. They use Croft as one of the real-life Clio Cup race tracks. So definitely a lot to look forward to, and a lot of space left to find here. There's some space in front of Gantai. He's about the only driver with some genuine space, as well as Cuba in the 17th place car. So it's a very, very crowded affair at the moment. Now this will be playing to their benefit somewhere, because these cars are bricks and they have next to no horsepower. We may well be looking at a slipstream fest coming through the track. So if you are one of the, let's be kind and say, slower drivers on the field tonight, if you can find yourself a space behind one of the top runners, you might well be able to find yourself getting dragged through around the track by those leading drivers, and potentially getting yourself into a higher position. Critically important, speaking of positions, is the top 10. The format of tonight's races are interesting. Do you want to go through that, or shall I?
Sure. So we have the qualifying. We're watching the qualifying. There's still 4 minutes and change in the qualifying. The first 10 qualified will on the I have to start a little bit. It's gonna be 3 races, 2 sprint races at 5 laps, and 1 race at 25 minutes. So first race, it's gonna be reverse grid from the qualifying from places 1 to 10. So whoever qualifies 10th will be first in the grid of the first race, and so on and so forth. The second race is gonna be reverse grid from the finish of the first. The finish, not the qualifying, the finish of the first. And then the race, the 25-minute race, is based on the qualifying times and the qualifying grid without reversing anything at all. So it's a very interesting combination that's gonna make for very interesting racing, I expect, think, and hope.
It brings a level of strategy to qualifying that I've not heard of or seen in a very, very long time as well. Because, I mean, let's say you have the pace for the top 10 and you have the luxury to be able to choose where in the top 10 you're going to be driving, which again is very difficult. The gaps between the top 10 at the moment is half a second, and in these cars, if you can pick your time within half a second, you're a damn finer driver than the majority of us here.
Yep.
So at the moment, it is Ricky Jimenez in the 10th position and in the golden seat for the first sprint race, but he's going to be starting 10th in the 25-minute feature race. So, again, if you have the opportunity to pick where you are going to start, where do you start? Do you start 10th and get that sprint race under your belt? 7 points available for each of the sprint race victories, going down to 6th place with 1 point. And then, or do you go all out, sacrifice the sprint races to be able to gain that feature race? If you aren't confident in your overtaking ability, or if in fact you are, that is going to change your strategy when it comes to qualifying and how much you focus on it.
On the other hand, you don't want to be in the middle of the pack with a car that is suitable for beginners in a pack that is as big as 27, because things are going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other part of the best part about these Clio Cup cars. The skill floor to be able to drive these cars in a competent fashion is fairly low. It's not go-karting, but it's not too much more. But all that means it's much like oval racing, because the car is so easy to drive. That then makes the ceiling of what you can get out of the car so much higher.
It reminds me of my karting days when I was semi-pro in karting, and after a race or training or whatever, I just went into my Mini, and we're talking the old Mini, not the BMW Mini.
Proper Mini.
And there was not really much of a difference between karting and driving the Mini.
No, it's not. And the thing is as well, just like with the Mini, it was about you don't drive a Mini in the same way as you would drive a car with any amount of power.
Yeah.
It's all about, like, the difference between a Mini and a go-kart is that you have some kind of clutch control. In the Mini, you don't have that in the go-kart. You're basically kicking the clutch as trying to use tricks and things like that to keep the clutch engaged. But yeah, there's so much skill and opportunity to be able to extract time and pace out of these cars. I'm just trying to see, because I have been very clever and hidden the dashboard that I was using. Give me a moment to reorganize myself here.
So qualifying has ended. We're gonna go into warm-up quite soon, and after that directly into the first of 3 races. I'm gonna explain it again. First of 3 races. The first 2 races are sprint races, 5 laps, which is nothing. It's like something like 7 minutes, 8 minutes.
The tires will just about be warm.
Yeah, kinda. And the first race has a reverse grid based on the qualifying, a reverse grid for the 1st to 10th position. The second race, again, also a sprint race, has a reverse grid based on the results of the first sprint race. The third race, 25 minutes, no sprint race at all. 25 minutes enough that you have to be careful with your tires and your fuel, is gonna be completely and 100% based on the results of the qualifying. So very interesting mix. The sprint races, only the 1st to 6th get points, and the first gets 7 points. And on the long race, 25, the 1st to 15th get points, and if I remember correctly, the first gets 15 points.
25 points, yeah.
Okay. So you, of course, the best thing is to win all the races, but let's see how it's gonna go.
If you think that is sounding a little bit chaotic, believe me, they have turned it down from where it was starting, which was going to be a full reverse grid race for the first 5-minute race. Now, that's some Formula E style of thinking, I think it's fair to say.
No, Formula E never had reverse grids.
No. What they did is when you qualified, the top positions in the championship went out first on a really, really dusty circuit.
Ah, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you think those wings behind the car are gonna do anything else, I think they're more decoration than anything else.
Hey, now, they did it on the Peugeots, in the hypercars. And,
sure.
It's totally working for them. I am being slightly facetious.
Because a Clio is a hypercar.
Oh, well, they weigh around the same. Horsepower figures nowhere near, of course, but they weigh about the same as the LMDHs. That's how light these cars are. In the greater scheme of things, yes, 1,030 kilos is not a lightweight car. But you have to remember that these cars have FIA-approved roll cages in. They are still based on the standard Clio chassis, so there's nothing to stop you from taking your road Clio RS and converting it to one of these relatively thoroughbred race cars. But it is still quite light by today's automotive standards.
Absolutely, it's a beginner. It's a car for those who want to start racing, to learn racing after they've done some stints in cards or whatever. So yeah, it's a beginner car, but it's a great car for that. By the way, the mod that you are seeing is being done by ASRC. So it's their own mod. It's a free mod that you can download in the workshop, and this mod is has been made with in conversation with and with information from engineers from Clio, and we see the first shenanigans at the back, in conversation with engineers and drivers of the real Renault Clio Cup. So these guys don't mince energy and work to get to a great mod. And if anyone is watching this and saying, but I don't have rFactor 2, don't worry. Soon it's gonna be there for Assetto Corsa 2. Like, not Assetto Corsa 2, Assetto Corsa, 2.
Oh, I heard an accident happen in the background.
Oh, yeah. The good thing about sim racing is, even if you have an accident in warm-up, you are ready to race.
Yes,
because in
absolutely.
real life, if you have an accident in warm-up, you are screwed. If it's a big one.
Yeah, and this is the thing that you would see in if we were following a much more real life strategy is that these drivers wouldn't be pushing it anywhere near as hard as they are. They'd be scrubbing in sets of tires for use later on to try and get that slightly better bite out of corners, or they would be doing fuel runs to just finalize and make sure, because of the air density on this particular day in this particular point in history, how the car's behaving. With these guys, it's all about getting their arms and legs warmed up and seeing how other drivers are behaving. They may not have been around other drivers, and even if they have been around other drivers in this series, even teammates, you probably won't have driven with them in this style of car. It's a completely different racing discipline, as we can see cars pushing the limits all the way around the circuit. That looks so cool with the cars on three wheels. It just goes to show how much you can push these cars in the sim. Like with other cars, with real life cars and with real life racing, you kind of hold back. You try and preserve what you have. There's no reason to do that in here. It's all about, if you find that slightest tenth of a second that you haven't been able to find so far in a way to get it consistent, you're going to use that all the way through the race, and that may well give you positions.
On the other hand, if you're starting to find it on warm-up, it may be a little bit too late, but okay.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you don't develop the muscle memory for that.
No. These Clios, though, again, are very specific. It's all about, if you haven't got that muscle memory and how to drive the car by now, it's going to elude you for at least the first couple of races. This first start is going to be a challenging one as well, with that top 10 reversed. The leaders are going to be trying to fight their way through to at least 6th position to try and get to those points. There's no point in hanging around and trying to preserve the car when you're going to get a new one in the very next race.
By the way, damage is set to 100%.
Yep.
So damage is real, fuel usage, tire usage is real, and assists as good as none.
Yeah. So standing start, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, as far as I remember. Now you've made.
I absolutely am with you. I completely forgot. I read through the regulations. I read through the rules. I did not see. There we go. I think there's going to be a warm-up lap, though, judging by the absence of the safety car. Unless that just hasn't spawned in yet.
They're starting to set it up, so
yeah.
Easy does it.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But if it is a standing start, watch for those with the best clutch control, because they are going to be the ones to make fantastic launches, critically important for both cold tyres and front-wheel drive cars. So a mixture of both is going to be critical in this opening round. That's a beautiful view, isn't it? Just from the starter's stand.
Oh, Ricky Jimenez went to the loo and is now trying to do a sprint race? Or what's happening? So we have a couple of drivers. We're waiting for them.
Yep, we've got Jimenez. Oh, that sounds like the potential start of a race.
Ah, no, there he is. Right, so 5 laps.
And it was that was a very, very clean start. That was a very clean start, very sensible. I wonder if that is I'm going to have to look up
lap?
That does look like a formation. I thought so.
Yeah. That looks like a formation lap. They're much too orderly and not fast enough. It's a formation lap.
Great to see they're being given the opportunity to get some heat into the tires, though. It's going to make the world of difference being able to know where your car's sitting and have control over where the car's sitting as well.
I think this is a lesson learned from the training race, the first training race that they did a week ago, because let's put it that way, it would have cost a lot of money to repair that many cars after a race.
Formation lap and a standing start. So just looked up, found that point. So another interesting one that could well play a role, especially with these cars going side by side. Max cut points is going to be set to 10. So something for the drivers to be keeping an eye out, especially when it comes to the feature race. But using the real-time local weather so that the weather that you're seeing at the moment, not necessarily the same time of day as the sun would be quite a bit lower in the sky, but the weather for sure is absolute blazing sunshine today in England. There has been about 5 drops of rain in the day, and it has been beautiful the rest of the day. So the drivers all starting to line up. You missed this. There is I think that's about the 5th place car, stating their intent to go to the inside, very, very wide on the inside of the track there. Or 3rd place, maybe. Let me just... Yeah, so Alexander quite a bit further over than the rest of the cars in front. We are ready to go, and the lights are out. It is a wonderful start from Gantar, who's looking up the inside, looking to take 3rd position, already clean into the first corner so far. A little bit
goes wide.
But I think we're about... Those top 3 have gotten away scot-free from the rest of the pack.
And behind there was not much argy-bargy, so...
Or the second chicane has caught out at least one of the yellow and black cars. Is that the 38? 39, it's down into the 5th corner where the cars are starting to get into each other. It's a spinner.
Yes. Oh, we have a little bit of chaos on track.
This was always going to come. It was always going to be expected. I mean, we got through the first complex of chicanes, and it was only when we got down to Tower. I knew the name of the corner. I just had to double check myself. It was only when we got as far as tower that it finally hit out. So I think we did pretty well there, all things considered. We were definitely building up for a very difficult race, and I think that's we kind of got out of jail free there.
Yeah, I mean, the first 3 are blazing through. We could see them now. What did you say it was called? Tripoding?
Tripoding, absolutely. One of the peculiarities of this competition. Gantar's looking racy as well. Has stayed with the 2 cars ahead.
Yeah.
So this isn't all over yet. There's yellow in sector 1. So where has that come from?
I don't know.
No, there is... Nope, I think that's okay. There's no one falling particularly behind. Mike Van Dorn in 26th is running behind, but he was involved in the first lap incident up at Tower. But they've all sorted themselves out rather nicely. It's got to be said.
Ooh, at the front.
Oh, here we go.
Alejandra, Jimenez, Gantar are just starting to fight for the position, which is what happens in a sprint race. So we have Jimenez now on. Oh, ouch! That was some
That was always going to happen.
trading of paint. Jimenez taking the curve a little bit steep, but keeping the second position. Abizanda, Jimenez, Gantar. So there's a little bit of change there in the positions, but again, this is a sprint race, and a lot of things still can happen.
And we're already on lap 3 of 5, so this is how fast and furious it's going to be in the early stages of this evening's escapades. And it looked as though, interestingly, Gaspar Mrak setting the fastest lap of the race so far, so clearly finding a space for himself in that 6th position. Just seeing there is competition going over 13th and 14th out of Tower Turn.
Well, there's everywhere competition
There's
competition
everywhere. Side by side. Coming down this
that's
bar.
gonna be
Croft!
yes.
There we go.
And
Once you're on the grass, there is no traction. Yep.
Yeah.
You're
just a
really
passenger.
fortunate. Heads up driving from the drivers behind to be able to stay out of trouble there as well.
And I don't know if Gantar is just keeping quiet, like a third is good enough, or if he is just that tad not as fast as Jimenez, because he's keeping near him but not being able to overtake him yet. We're on lap 4 of 5.
There's only one lap that you need to lead, and if Gantar
it's the
thinks,
last one.
absolutely, if Gantar thinks that first place is going to be out of reach regardless of what he does, then all he's got to do is try and set his sights on second, as he does such.
Yes.
Leaning on
But
the previously
no.
damaged corner. No.
He cannot make it stick, but he already said hello.
And sometimes sticking your nose in like that in a non-committal way is just as important as is just as important as making the pass. It's getting inside the other driver's head and letting them know that you're willing to put the car in the position as he sets up coming into the final sector yet again. Goes to the outside. He thinks he can carry the speed. Can he get the cut back to maybe swap? No, he thinks better of it. He must be so frustrated being sat there at the moment, though, locking up the rears for Jimenez there.
And
as he
Jimenez
runs
went
wide, that's all the opportunity that Gantar needs. He's side by side. Are we going to see a switch? Oh, he's got
Not
the
yet.
outside line. He's going to get squeezed. It depends how he goes through a chicane.
Oh, Jimenez loses control, but not enough. Interestingly enough, because of these argy-bargy, numbers 4 and 5th are already near the first 3, so there could be something
And
going on
carrying the
there.
momentum. 52 car of Mark Carroll looking to the outside of Gantar in that 3rd position. I don't think he's going to do it. Oh, it's a big twitch of oversteer from the red car, the 74. Jimenez not doing the best tyre management on that rear axle. Could very well play into the race, the feature race.
Well, they get new tires for every race. So.
Oh, absolutely. But if he's having trouble after 5 laps,
True.
what's it going to be through the rest of the race? Meanwhile, Abazanda, who has got a grand total of 0.5 of a second, is sitting pretty in the greater scheme of things when you bear in mind the bun fight that's going on behind. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars fighting over essentially second place. It's a big look to the inside from the 52. Doesn't get the brakes. He does get it stopped. My goodness, Mark Carroll, I was right first time, made that dive for 3rd and has made it happen at the checkered flag.
That was, well, 5 laps. Great race. Abizanda, Jimenez, Carroll, Gandar, Sequeira, Brack, Calleja, Kowalski, McAllister, Fuentes are numbers 1st to 10th. That's important because Mr. Fuentes is gonna be 1st in the grid in the next race, which is gonna be in a couple of minutes.
And the top 6 of those will be taking home points from the first round. 7 points for 1st position, 5 for 2nd. I'm getting to the back to the points. There we go. 7, 5, 4 for 3rd, 3 for 4th, 2 for 5th, 1 for 6th position. So Gaspar Rack gets off the nil point, with Victor Sequeira getting 2, and so on and so forth. You can do the rest of the math. But now it is Fuentes' time to shine.
Or not.
Or not, as the case may be. He's going to be at the head of the pack for the second race. Could this be strategy playing into his evening?
I don't think so. I know we had this discussion before we started the broadcast. I don't think there's going to be a lot of strategy with the grid positions.
No, I don't think so either. It's purely because, again, it's a case of if you had the pace, if you have the competency and the confidence in the car, then of course you're going to try and play a strategy. Starting in 5th place and having the pace to perhaps overtake and get to the top in both races, it's worth playing the game to be able to have that relatively good track position going into the feature race. But again, you do 3 laps and target half a second in these cars.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd love a reverse grid for all drivers, because as I would be last,
You'd start on pole.
Exactly. So we're doing a warm-up. And warm-up is less for the drivers to warm themselves up as for race control to set everything for the reverse grid and so on. So,
and of course to get a cup of tea if needed. Because
or to
even
get
though
rid
that
of
was
a cup of tea if needed.
Or to get rid of the cup of tea, absolutely. As fantastic as that first race was, just being in the com box was relatively exhausting. I could not possibly imagine trying to be in race control and overseeing all of the incidents in that race.
Yeah.
And I would
what the ASRC does is they do penalties and incidents and so on after the races.
Oh, of course, absolutely. But there's still a lot of work that goes into it, and they're still here doing the work.
Absolutely.
So, a brief reprieve then from the action. They're still fighting on track. It's just warm up, but you can't keep these guys from fighting each other.
So soon we're gonna see Juanma Fuentes on first, McAllister on second, Kowalski on third, Calleja on fourth, and so on.
If you're in chat, what is your opinions of the action that we've seen so far? It's been fairly clean in the greater scheme of things. Lots of drivers pushing the absolute limit of these cars. Are we ready for another, well, at least half an hour of racing here that we've got for the rest of this evening, and very different strategies that we're going to see as well.
That chicane almost through.
Ricky
So
Jimenez.
you were saying, while we're seeing the cars bounce at the back, you were saying that is more netcode than anything that has to do with real life?
Yes, so these cars will have... So, again, we're coming into the technicalities of it while we have a minute. But these cars obviously aren't going to be porpoising like we saw from the new Formula 1 at these speeds, at these tracks, anything like that. But what's happening is we're seeing a phenomenon of netcode and the physics system interacting together, where, because, as we said, the suspension is being set really, really soft to be able to get that tripoding and all of that apex traction that these cars need. Because essentially what you need is the back end to be sticking almost better than the front end, because without the back end being stable, you can't lean on the front tire, you can't set the front tires up to have as much traction as they need. So the back of these cars are very, very soft. And what's happening is that the seeming porpoising that we're seeing is essentially the netcode interacting and updating. It's like those micro stutters that you get from other games where the car might bounce around within a couple of feet of each other. That's how good the netcode is in rFactor 2. That's the bouncing that we're getting from essentially very, very soft suspension. These I've always been a massive fan of rFactor 2's netcode. The fact that, for example, that the altercation that we had at the start of the first race, where it was, who was it? The name's pulling a blank for me now. It was Jimenez in second, who was in third for the majority of the race. Gunter, thank you. Yes, I've just found his name as well. Where Gunter stuck it up the inside at the second to last corner. That kind of interaction in a lot of other sims would have caused Jimenez to spin, because the car would have the netcode would have put Gunter's car inside Jimenez. But because rFactor 2 has such a tight netcode, the interaction was realistic. The cars didn't bounce off each other, and they were able to both carry on. There will, of course, have been some damage there, but yeah, I'm a big fan of rFactor 2's netcode. I always have been, and I think that seeing how well these cars behave and how realistically they behave, both when they're on the limit and when they're over it, just absolutely is testament to how good this sim is when it's working right.
When it's working right, and when it's working right, it's really, really good.
Oh, it's fantastic. By far and away, the most amount of fun that I've ever had in my sim. And this is coming from someone whose first experience of rFactor 2 was Formula E.
Yeah. The
cars.
The first one?
Yeah, my first experience with rFactor 2 was the Gen 2 Formula E cars in 2000 and I want to say 16 or 17.
So the Gen 2, not the Gen 1. Okay.
Not the Gen 1, yeah. The Gen 2 cars. Oh man. So the Gen 2 Formula E cars deserve a better drivetrain than the Formula E drivetrains that go in them. Put any hypercar engine in that chassis and it would be incredible fun to watch. And of course, no aero at all, or next to none.
Yeah.
So it would be pure mechanical grip.
Well, they still don't have aero. Like, they look as if they would have aero, but they don't.
Yeah. Oh no, the Gen 3 cars are even not worse. Worse is the wrong word for it, but they have even less aero because it's all about driving on tight circuits and inside cities because they're electric, they're not polluting. So you don't want to have dirty great big wings and things like that because, well, if you have an aero effect jumping off the back of your car and you're trying to follow on a tight city circuit where Monaco is a wide circuit for Formula E.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows how tight these circuits are. You need the car to be consistent. As we get the starting grid. That warm up is absolutely lovely to be able to just go off on a tangent.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Formula E.
Absolutely. But yes, Formula E, great. We won't talk about Formula E. I have opinions about Formula E.
Oh, then we can issue those opinions in the next Romcoms.
Ah, yes. Looking forward to that one already.
Romcoms, our podcast, every first Thursday of the month.
In fact, you just missed one. So if you want to go back and look at that after this broadcast, go do that because we have opinions on many of the Sims, rFactor 2 included, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll wait for the formation lap to proceed. And I will get the better educated as far as pronunciations are concerned, of us to run down the grid if they have a formation lap. I think they do for both races. Just waiting on all the drivers to take their positions on the grid as well.
And I just put the link to our podcast in the chat.
We are waiting on... I'm not pronouncing the name, I'm sorry. Paparanapolis. And we are away. There we go.
On the formation lap, by the way.
That's the one, yeah. So, I will rely on my learned friend here to run down the names, all of which are very exotic to a Luddite Englishman like myself.
McAllister is exotic? Okay. You're getting into a world of hurt.
Yes, McAllister is a bit too northern for me. I'd be surprised if that doesn't get some kind of response.
No. Yeah, in form of bad haggis at your doorstep.
That's the one. Oh. At risk of being berated inside the house. Is there such a thing as good haggis?
Hey.
I am, of course, kidding.
I didn't even eat haggis when I ate meat, and now that I don't eat meat, cannot even get me near haggis.
No, I can imagine.
There is something as vegetarian haggis, but I'm like, why?
Because haggis is good, and meat is generally really good tasting, and a lot
but
of
vegetarian haggis.
Oh yeah, but because we still have to eat food, and the majority of people only have so many recipes that they know. It's the same reason why you have vegetarian sausages and things like that.
Get an Indian cookbook, and you'll have more recipes than you can cook in the whole of your life.
Absolutely. I heard an accident in the background there.
Really? Okay.
I heard a collision in the back of the field. That is Cube. Cuba is no, he is rolling. Okay, so we have got to the top. We have got a full grid. Like glinting off the head of the field.
We are go! Second race of the day. Second of third.
And we are 5 wide at the back of the field. What a display.
Yes. Let's see what happens at the back. Oh, we already have one car going out.
But once again, oh, the yellow car. That is Paparinopoulos. No, grief.
That one.
Yeah, hang on, give me just a second. Paparinopoulos. There you go. That has retired, having nosed into the tyre barrier at turn 2. I think everybody else got away relatively scot-free.
Yeah, although there's some dust. The back, we have Calleja and Kowalski duking it out, if I see it correctly.
Oh, there's a car sideways.
Oh.
Backwards. That is Elliot Simpson off on the side of the track. He's getting rolling again. But that was at Barcroft. That was a fairly innocuous part of the track to be. So he probably got some help there.
To say it this way.
And there's another couple of cars.
More aggressive in this second race, right?
They are being a lot more aggressive, yeah.
Oh, Carroll with a penalty.
Oh, where has that come from?
Track limits.
Already?
Yeah.
So that must have been a massive hop over the first chicane and then some kind of big issue later on in the lap as well. He might have actually been involved in some of the cars that have, there's damage on the front right of this car I can see.
And we
so
see
he's
Mrak
trying to push the 91 of Abidanza.
Mrak going on the outside, trying to get, and he at least made it stick for now. He got into second place in front of McAllister.
So McAllister backing up the field.
Victor Sequeira. Oh, McAllister kissing Mrak on places you should not kiss.
This is a semi-contact sport. This is fine. But Fuentes might actually have quite a bit of pace here in this race. Oh, lots and lots of touching going on. There has been contact on the front end of that purple Clio of McAllister as well, so he may be losing a little bit of performance.
And we have a couple of drivers going into pit. I suppose to DNF.
Oh, okay. So that may be.
You don't go into pit on a sprint race.
That may be the polite way of them retiring from the race.
Fuentes got his car a little bit sideways. Oh, but now Mrak goes sideways and... Oh! Who went out there? Sequeira? Yes. Victor Sequeira lost control. Or was helped. I didn't see.
Wow. No, so the slide started. The slide started all on his own. But he was helped into the barrier by whoever was just behind him.
Yeah, okay, that happens.
Yeah, that was... There's no fault there at all.
Especially as they are driving so close to each other. If the one on front gets a little bit squirrely, you are done for.
Yeah, absolutely. And all these guys are struggling to keep... It looks as though they've been a little bit more aggressive this time out.
Yeah. And Fuentes cannot get the car completely over the corner, and therefore Mrak is now looking how to get... Yes, he's going on the inside, but no, he's not trying to overtake yet.
The thing is that we'll see this from the other touring cars as well. Doing that dive to the inside through turn one is the least committal move that you'll ever do. The only thing that he was trying to do was put Fuentes off there. And it looks as though it may have worked. He's got a slight overlap as they come down towards Tower for the fourth time of asking. Wrong side, but if he can hold the speed around the outside, not
he can't.
Quite. But he might have an overspeed again coming down towards the S's, and Croft takes a slightly wider line. Really using all the road is Mrak there. They all get very close under braking. McAllister under pressure again from behind in the form of Jimenez.
Mrak now trying to get the overtake, but still not.
All of this fighting is bringing both of the cars behind into this fight as well. I wonder if McAllister is thinking about defending and attacking at the same time. This could be Mrak having to switch to being defensive, but he is eyes forward on the leader at the moment. Fuentes goes defensive this time, pushes Mrak right to the outside. That's the kind of line that we expect from the leader. Beautifully held there. I'm glad that you have a nice, smooth...
And he's blinking the lights so as to make Fuentes nervous.
Yeah, and around the outside he tries again.
Yeah, but no. He goes wide.
In reality, so this just shows how respectful of a driver Mrak is. Like, he doesn't need to leave that much space on the inside for Fuentes. And as we were talking during the warm-up, the netco's good enough that it doesn't matter if they rub up against each other. The cars, it's going to work. But he's just leaving so much space that he's losing speed trying to get around Tower Turn. If he was driving more ruthlessly, then he would possibly have an opportunity. He gets the cutback this time up to the outside for the second to last corner. He's going to be on the outside for the hairpin as well. This could be another pass opportunity up on the straight, but now McAllister looking up the inside, trying to make places. This is the final lap of the race. Can he get the run to the line? It is going to be Fuentes by 7/500ths of a second. My goodness.
So that was really a nail biter. Like, we know there was stuff happening behind these guys, but I mean, I hope you agree that there was a lot to see already in these first couple of places.
There was a lot to see pretty much up and down the field. It was a very, very difficult race to call just by virtue of how much was going on. We've got action up and down the field. The racing has been absolutely peerless so far as I can see. Even the incidents that have been happening are by virtue of, as you said, the cars being so close and the competition being so tight. Not as though anyone's driving inappropriately or aggressively or anything like that. But that is the second sprint race of the evening done. Fuentes will take the 7 points from that. Gaspar Marak will take home second position. Jack McAllister will take the third spot on the podium, just missing out by tenths of a second. Not even that. Ricky Jimenez almost about to get 2 podiums in one night. Carlos Abadanza, I can do names, I swear. Abazanda will take home 5th. Kowalski will get 6th in that number 1 car. Lepotre in the 71 will get 7th. Ganter in 8th. 9th will be Del Rio, and rounding out the top 10 will be Pablo Lopez Garcia, running down the rest of the grid very quickly. Victor Sikora will go 11th, Silvestre 12th, Zenkov 13th, Kaludis in 14th, 15th will be Sola, Briganet in 16th, 17th will be Cuba. Much better finish for the number 8 car. Paletti in 18th, 19th will be Sancho, 20th will be Kalev. Simpson will finish 21st, 22nd will be Mark Carroll. A very difficult race for Mark. Fernandez 23rd, 24th will be Bered, 25th will be Kajela, and DNFing out of the race after a nose into the wall on the first lap will be Paparinopolis. I almost got it first time there. And yes, names are hard. Beautiful interior shot of the Clio Cup car. Just goes to show how much hard work ASRC puts into these cars. And just the tiniest little advanced simulation tag in the slot where the radio might go.
So, we're going to the warm-up and the last race of the day.
It's all very fast and furious, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But I hope you on the broadcast are having as much fun as we are having, because as we expected, truth to be told, this is very interesting. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to live through. It's a great track, and these cars are fantastic.
Bear in mind that this is probably going to be one of the more complex tracks that we visit during the course of this championship, especially as far as Sector 1 goes. The standard of driving that we're seeing tonight is absolutely representative of what we would expect from the drivers here. They have the utmost patience, and again, we were talking earlier in the sprint race about how if some of the drivers were more ruthless, they could make better positions, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to celebrate sim racing and celebrate these cars and how just fantastic they are.
Also, ASRC is known for swinging the banhammer if you are too aggressive, if you don't show respect to the other drivers. They are... Let's put it this way. After the race yesterday and some of the shenanigans there's gonna be words exchanged between race control and some of the drivers, and there may be drivers we won't be seeing in the next race on Sunday.
Just catching up on all of the race control messages. Yep, everything looks as expected, which is great to see as well. Oh man. Oh, that is. Speaking of an aside. Okay. Yes. Ooh. I've just seen the announcement.
You okay, Han?
I'm okay. Yeah. Do we talk about the thing that you just messaged me?
Well, I can say, and we'll have a little bit more information on Sunday in the news, but I can say that Rennsport has announced that the closed beta is gonna be coming this summer. So that's 3/4 of a year later than they had set. Still, 50% of the keys will be first come, first serve, the other 50% randomly. And they are going to have a summit in Munich once again in June with the tickets for free for anybody who uses the code that they put in their Discord. And that I'm not saying here. Go to their Discord. That's a reason why they're doing that. Or watch the news on Sunday. And so that you can get a ticket for free. I suppose, though, that the tickets are going to be a little bit limited, because I don't think they're going to take the Bayern Arena to do the summit. That costs a little bit too much.
It is at Motor World Munich. So
yeah,
interesting. Now I've been signed up for the Rennsport closed beta for a very, very long time. So I am,
as I would say,
hopeful.
Every one of us.
Oh yeah. It's when you hear about something that is backed by Porsche, you take an interest for sure. But that will be, how do I put it? If we can give you any information, or any sneak peeks, or any first-hand experience, oh, believe me, there will be.
For sure. And I already applied for my ticket.
Hey!
3rd and 4th of June. It's gonna be quick in and out. But
yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you take your camera, because that is going to be an interesting display. I wonder if they have addressed any of the issues.
Hi everybody, I wish I could join you guys.
That's as an aside. For tonight, we finally come to the most important part of the evening. 25 points up for grabs, and of course a victory in the northeast of England. This is the feature race, and where all of the qualifying times that the drivers set almost and feels like an hour ago.
It was an hour ago.
It was an hour ago, my goodness. Where all the drivers, the times that all the drivers set an hour ago, finally come to some kind of result. Gaspenrack will lead the drivers away, and we've already seen that he has been prolific in his drive up the field. So this is going to be the cream of the crop, battling it out at the top of the leaderboards for the next 25 minutes. Mark Carroll up there again. So Mark seemingly doing some very, very good work in the early stages. Didn't do too well in the second race, so perhaps some bad fortune that Mark needs to get through to be able to hold that position and get the best out of himself in the car. But still, lots to look forward to here.
Some
I
people are
think
not
we
that
are-
good in the one-to-one department.
Absolutely. So, for our last warm-up lap of the evening, now these Clios are going to be a very different warm-up routine to the more traditional GT3s, hypercars, Formula One cars that we would be used to seeing. It's all about getting as much temperature into the rear tyres as possible. Oh no, that's how they do it normally, but you have to warm them up in a very, very different manner. You want those rear tyres sticky. You want to be able to have that traction on the rear so that you can abuse the front tyres and just use that limited slip differential that is aftermarket fitted into these cars as part of their upgrade package to get as much traction as you can on the exits of the corners. A couple of drivers running with headlights on. Thankfully, rFactor 2's light engine is not super distracting when drivers are running with their headlights.
No, Automobilista 2 is worse.
Yeah, Assetto Corsa Competizione is one of those games where the headlights are blinding and irritating, and the brake lights and indicators are non-existent.
Yeah.
rFactor 2 seems to pull a lovely, lovely blend of the two, where they are definitely visible, and for yourself especially, they do the job really well, but they're also signal, especially with the lights on the back, signal to the drivers around that you are stopping, which again, really important.
I hope the drivers will have learned the lesson and that this is not a sprint race. This one is not a sprint race. It's 25 minutes. You cannot win the race on the first corner, but you can always lose it. So
You can absolutely lose it. And as the tail of the field comes round to take their position on the starting grid, it's all very, very quiet for just a second. The back of the grid is lined up now. Just getting... There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... And we are go for the feature race. 25 minutes and a beautiful launch from the back of the field. Just keeping an eye on the tail at the moment to make sure as they go 5 wide into turn 1. I think I hear a collision in front.
Something went flying.
Yep, that is the 8 car. No, that's fine. No, that's blue and white car. That is Le Portrait. Le Portrait has been tagged, it looks like. Judging by the amount of damage on the car, it wasn't a big hit, maybe just got it slightly wrong. Or positioned his car slightly wrong, but once again, unbelievably clean as we come through the first complex, he says, as Kuba gets way too aggressive on the brakes into tower.
But we're seeing very clean racing.
Yep.
They do know that they have 25 minutes or 24 now yet to race, so... Oh, do you remember? It's 0 seconds and 1 lap, or it's 0 seconds and that's it? I don't remember.
I think it is 0 seconds and that's it. Give me a second. So that is the default. So the default is not +1 lap. It would need to be set in the server settings. That is something that we can do.
Oh, Kowalski getting a penalty for track limits
Already. So that will be someone taking a dive through the chicane and not slowing down enough. It doesn't say. I would suggest, well, we're going to find out in 23 minutes time.
Again, trying to look at the outside. Yes. That's gonna be interesting. He's keeping a good place at the outside. Now he's got the inside. Could very well mean that he's gonna get the first position. Ooh, we get into the chicane. No, that's not the chicane. Still, now he's at the outside. So he's keeping good pace. Beside.
Oh no! That is Mrak out of the competition. Oh no! What happened there?
Takeda lost control and got hit by somebody else.
16,
Or he was waiting for Mrak to pass him, as
I
sometimes
think he is,
which is incredibly fair from him. It's as it should be in sim racing, but still, it's incredibly fair. We can honor that. But that means that we have changed the positions at the front, and we have Carroll, Kolev, and Calleja. Calleja doing the best lap time, but maybe losing the place to Gunter. No, it looked like that, but
60 car Garcia going up the inside, backed out of it at the apex. That was not very sensible, and the 18's got it wrong on the tyres. It's chaos in the first sector, and this could be track blocking. I think everybody's going to get rolling. Fuentes is rolling. 88 car of Solar is rolling as well. So normally in these pack races, you get a lot of retirements and drivers giving up early in the race, especially if they have a little accident or something like that. I don't think, especially with the technicalities of this track, it's going to... we've lost Fuentes. I think too much damage to continue there. And Solar has got a lot of damage as well. All of that spawned from the 18 car cutting way too tight, which was Fuentes, piling into the tyre barriers at turn 3. And just the rest of the pack having nowhere to go. But as I say, so the incidents that we had with Sakura and Mac last lap, they've already made some places up because of that incident ahead of them. They weren't involved in it.
Carroll and Kolev doing the fastest lap, starting with Carroll, and then Kolev did even a faster lap than Carroll.
Yes. Yeah, okay, so it is... it isn't an extra lap.
Okay, so it's 0 and that's it. Yeah. Okay. Because I think WTCC did 0 and 1 lap, DTM did 0 and 1 lap, that I know, and I think WTCR did 0 and that's it.
Yep. But it's very much it's one of those things that's very complex when it comes to staging your race.
Yeah.
And it can cause issues when it comes to fueling and strategy and things like that. I've always preferred you race to the time.
0 and that's it. Yeah, I understand.
Because when you have it as +1 lap, and that +1 lap could come as it ticks over to 0, or with let's say 1 minute and 27 seconds to go. And the amount of fuel that you'll use in between those two periods is not inconsequential. But yep, thank you very much, Nick, for those hints in the chat. Really, really useful. But the top 4 here...
Yeah, go ahead.
Top 4 here is getting quite a bit of space on the rest of the field. Now, this is a rare one in Clio Cups, but I mean, these guys are the ones that set the fastest qualifying times, so we shouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah.
And all racing very clean as well.
These guys are not the ones. Fuentes and so on
not
are the ones, but...
Yes, they have been affected, I think is the way to put it.
And Carol and Kolev are nearer to each other. Kolev always takes that corner wide, but doesn't seem to lose time because of it. It's interesting.
It's about that again. That's where all of this increased traction and strategy comes in. He's taking a wider line, but he is
Keeping momentum.
He's keeping the momentum, so it's much like when you're oval racing. You can take the low line or the high line. The low line clearly shorter, but you maintain a much higher minimum speed, and so you can use that high line to keep your lowest speed up and carry it out onto the straights.
All right, so Carl is trying to pull away while Kolev is getting some competition from Calleja.
He's trying to pull away, but he's not doing a very good job of it at the moment. Kolev has
Calleja loses control because he run a little bit into the back of Kolev, which Gunter uses to get into third position. And that's what happens.
And that's what this pack racing brings with it is you can't, well, you want to attack, you want to go for the positions, but you can't be overzealous with those moves because there's always someone who's hunting you.
Yeah.
As Gunter now looks to have quite a bit of straight line speed, he's going to look to the outside on Kolev. Nothing happening for the time being, but again, we've got time. And I'm sure Gunter will be well aware of that. Again, it's about taking home as many points as you can. If he goes for a big dive, he's not going to take any points home at all. But if he sits back, pressures, uses the performance of his car, puts it on the outside so that Kolev has a less decent exit from the corner.
Yeah, on the other hand, Calleja's also looking at the inside of Gunter, so that's... Those three are really an interesting group.
They need to be really heads up here because they could take each other out, they could cause massive issues for each other, or they could... Oh, that's a big look up the inside for Gunter. This could be the opportunity he needs it. But he pushes Kolev to the inside. Kolev's still not given up the place, and neither should he. Oh, as three wide, they come into the second last corner.
No, that's not gonna be a good thing.
They got through it though.
They survived it. Let's put it this way.
But what they've done is they've pushed. So Gunter has come out the best out of that because he's now got a little bit of air behind him to Kolev. Kolev and Calleja both having issues with damage now, being squeezed and sandwiched. Big wiggle from Calleja there, but now they're starting to fall back into the clutches of the pack behind, which again, much like Mark Carroll did at the start of, or towards the start of the race, he's been given an opportunity now to hunt down the leader.
And Kolev, I think Kolev is gonna make it stick as Calleja goes wide.
Yep. So that's going to be 2 positions lost at least with the lack of speed. There we go. And now it's Kolev under pressure from Elliot Simpson. Looks to the outside. Can't make it happen. But he will still have quite a bit of... no, he's let off. That is a really wide line. Yeah, I thought that was a mistake from Calleja.
Yeah, but I think it's not. I think Kolev is one that takes wider lines but keeps the momentum.
Oh no, Jarrow was outbraked himself and lost a position there. Elliot Simpson now up to 5th position, right in the meat of this fight. Oh, as Calleja gets it wrong again. I think that's going to be a retirement from Yep. I think that might be a
Oh.
technical issue for the 79 car. Back. Oh my goodness. In the fight over third. Kolev goes defensive. My goodness, this is a mess.
Those four are just trying to find a better position, so they have to attack and defend at the same time.
Elliot Simpson going for Jimenez here. Up the outside, we know that it's possible. This is what I was talking about in the previous race. No, just about enough racing room given, and now Simpson has the overlap. He's going to have the apex for the start of the S's. Ooh, tight.
No.
Falls back into line. Yeah, that was about what we were expecting here. But now because he's had to let off, the 23 car is spying a weakness as well in Briginet. But they're all being sensible. They're all being very, very sensible here at the moment, which is great to see. And he says,
I have to say, after the race, I'm gonna be watching the replay, because the way that Kolev and Jimenez are driving is great for the discussion of having different racing lines. Like, there is no one perfect racing line, and on the other hand, both are an example of using the whole of the track. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and that's the 27 car. That's Elliot again carrying loads of speed into turn one. Balked ever so slightly by Kolev. The 74 car goes to the outside.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Goodness,
and there's it.
It was as we expected. Yeah. Well, it didn't need to, I don't think. That could have been.
But I was seeing it already.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, Elliot had to go for it there. I think that was very much on.
Yeah, but going 3 wide there was not a wise decision by whoever was the third that got into there.
I think it was Elliot that went for it last. But again, he'd been cooped up behind both of those cars. He doesn't know the pace of either of them in clear air, other than it was Kolev, who I think was it was Kolev who was in third at the time. But with Jimenez getting the run, it was going to be too wide. It was going to be a difficult move for sure. I actually think the biggest mistake was Elliot making any move from the right hand side of the track. If I was him, I would have parked it. Basically, just I'm going to park my car here. You two do what you want. I'm going to rely on you two being aware of what's going on and just deny them the apex.
In any case, the one who came out best of it is Kolev, who is
only in
fourth, so only lost 1 position.
But the person who came out of it best was Briginet. 23 car.
Yep.
Clear in third, and the 43 and 24 still fighting behind. So Poletti and Kolev we now know with some level of damage, and the 43 car wanting to hunt down that 4th position.
Yeah, it seems as
he's
if
going for it.
Poletti is faster.
I think he was just showing his nose there. Just letting Kolev know, I am coming for you. There's not a lot you can do. Or is it we can either do this the easy way or the hard way?
Yeah. Kolev is going to choose the hard way, of course.
Oh, and he's not quite got the overlap yet on Kolev. I don't think you're ever going to find a driver in this field that's going to give up a position that easily.
Nope.
he's got the overspeed. He's got the overspeed. It could be a mirror image of what we saw last lap, but this time they're all on their own. And they have the space to make the move. Can he get on the brakes? Around the outside again. So much tighter. This is the kind of racing room we expect. Not going to happen this time, though.
And using the lights. But that's the close racing that I love to see.
Yes, absolutely. Again, it's all about respect.
Yeah.
You need to drive within your limits. You need to drive and think about the other cars around you as well. But as he looks down the inside again, it's never going to happen.
He went on the brakes. You could see in the behavior of the car that he went on the brakes to avoid getting there. Kolev is making his car, of course, as wide as he can. And the fighting of these two means that Simpson is getting near them.
The man who caused the issue last time out. Ooh. Nope. That long camera angle is not good for gauging where the cars are. But yeah, it's yeah, they are pulling Elliott Simpson back into this now. So Elliott must be thinking, hello, this is on again. And I have no doubt that he's going to... Yeah, there's another. Bump up the rear. Get going, get going. We need to move. Because Paletti saw what happened last time.
Yeah.
Kolev and Simpson were by each other. It's a big, big punt. Oh, and Simpson is going to be gifted in the end.
But I think race control is going to be taking a look at that after the race.
Yellow flag for Renato Del Rio, who was parked at the S's and has retired from the race. I did not see that. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can...
Oh, and at the front, Gunter is half a second away from Carroll now. While we were watching what was happening between Poletti and Kolev, those two got close to each other. So at the moment we have two big fights at the front. The one is Carroll against Gunter and the other Simpson and Poletti.
Just trying to get back to the replay of what just happened there, because that was a really odd incident, or a really weird... Oh, he was spun. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
And at the front we have Gunter becoming very dangerous to Carroll and trying to find his way around the, for now, first driver.
It was the 14 car. Oh, it was Papernopoulos. That got entangled. So, as you say, I could well imagine there is going to be some kind of investigation going into that. Oh, is Mark Carroll under pressure for the lead of the race?
Oh, yes.
That didn't take as long as I was expecting, honestly.
And as we only have 3 minutes to go, Gunter is, of course, trying to find his way around Carroll.
Well, it's the difference between 17 and 25 points, if I'm remembering. No, 5 points. It's a 5-point difference that they're fighting over here. And bearing in mind the awful second race that Gantar had, it could well make the difference. Or was it Carroll? I think it was Carroll that had a really bad second race. It could well make the difference, these two fighting. Especially when some of the leaders have been taken out of this competition. Very important points up for grabs at the head of the field. Of course, both of them being massively respectful. But Carroll starting his defensive move very, very early on. There is definitely an overlap between those two Clio Cup cars. 800 of a second.
Outside.
As they come down to turn one. Beautiful defense from Carroll.
He'll have to be defending at least 2 laps more. One lap is 1 minute 30, so if they keep that speed, they're gonna pass the...
Carroll getting very sideways under braking.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about tyre management. You want those back tyres sticky, you want them warm, but you don't want them that warm that they start melting.
And after 25 minutes, they are not only warm, but also used.
Yeah, especially when you're brushing the inside corner while you're up on 3 wheels.
Gunter just sniffing the fumes from Carroll. He's that near.
Yeah, he's going to need to... The problem is he's taking a completely different line to try and get a run. I don't think it's going to happen into the hairpin. This could possibly be a opportunity on the final lap.
Gunter got a very good... but he didn't have the momentum. He took the hairpin closer, but therefore slower. Ha! Okay, so this is the last lap of the race. And we know there's stuff happening at the back, Brigonet and Poletti, Kolev and Jimenez, but allow us to keep these on this fight for the first position. And Gunter, it's a difficult situation of I want to finish this race, and
I want to win this race.
Exactly, like. See to it if you can win, but second is also a good position and is also great points. So the clock is stopped.
It's up the inside. He's got the overlap. He's got the overlap coming down into Sonny. Big jump over the inside, though.
Yes,
it's a big look to the inside for the 11. There's the slightest bit of contact between the two.
Yeah, but
absolute rubbing is racing there. Decisive move by Ganter to take the lead on the final lap of the race. Does Mark Carroll have any answer for him into the final section? No, he doesn't. Could be setting up for a big dive into their hairpin. We know that Carroll isn't above a massive dive for the final position. 11 car goes defensive. I tell Ganter how to drive defensively. The man does it like he's drinking water.
And Gunter wins the race. Carroll on second.
I think
you see Poletti and Simpson coming round the hairpin.
And that was... there's a car parked on the inside.
Oof.
That is the 23 car. 23 car of Brigonet has parked it.
Oh, no.
What has happened there? Does he run out of
fuel?
Does he run out of fuel? He's been parked there a while.
Oh, bother. Oh, what a great race. What a great 3 races. Incredible. The Russell Cup is giving us what we expected, and that is very fast racing. Lots of stuff going on.
Brigonet ran out of fuel.
Ah, bother.
Like in the last hairpin.
Yeah.
That's how close it was.
Yeah.
And this is what I was saying. This is what I said about the extra lap. But you never know when it's going to come, and you're kind of fresh out of luck if you calculate wrong.
And putting a kilo, I don't think it's more than 1 kilo that you have to put.
No.
Putting a kilo on there, it's gonna slow you 1/10 of a second at most with these cars. So I would not go conservative and even put a little bit more fuel than I even expect to need.
Oh, absolutely.
In any case, this has been the first event of the Russell Cup on Croft. The next event is on Silverstone next week, Monday, 2100 CET, and all the other time zones. I'm crap at time zones, so forget about it. So, Silverstone, 22nd of May, Russell Cup. Again, the same configuration, 2 sprint races, 1 long race, and if this is going to be as exciting, we're in for a very great cup. And next Sunday, give me a second. Next Sunday is NASCAR at Las Vegas. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this, as we said before, this is the airfield circuits. This is one of the tightest and most complicated to drive. Silverstone National is an actual airfield skid pan compared to this. The racing next week, it's going to be off the hook. There is going to be no quarter asked or given. That Formula One width is going to be giving us 5, possibly 6 cars wide on the hangar straight. Mark my words.
Oh, bother.
Into Stowe.
In any case, we saw an incredibly interesting race. Thanks, Ike, for being here. You're going to be here next week too?
I'm going to be here next week for sure.
Perfect.
With the start time, I may well be here every week.
Cool. Perfect. Fantastic. And to all who've been watching, thanks for being with us. As I said at the beginning, watching a race is more fun watching it with the ones you love. Until the next race, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other at the podium.
We'll see you then.